We're in April now, so it's time for my monthly update on my poinsettia here. I was considering pruning him because I haven't done so in the 4 years I've had him, but I've decided I really like the shape he's in, so I'm thinking I'm going to just leave him as he is and just show you how to do some propagation anyhow. Because there's one little bit, this little bit's quite lanky, and I think that would do quite well to cut it off and make it into a little cutting and show you just how fun it is to do propagation of these beautiful plants. And there's lots of, it's so nice to actually make your own, and then you can give them as wonderful Christmas presents, really personal Christmas presents later on the year, even though it's a bit early to be thinking about Christmas in April. But when you're with such a beautiful red poinsettia, it's almost hard not to think of Christmas. The thing is, he actually tends to stay this color until June or July, and then he starts going green, starts losing all of his red bracts. If you look actually closer, we can see that all the little flowers, these little yellow flowers on the inside, they're the actual flowers. They're now turning into seed heads. And so people do also say it's a good idea to deadhead these flowers. I've never done that. I've always just let him go and decide when he wants to drop his flowers and just go naturally. Because I can't bring myself to chop all the flowers off. They're so beautiful. But what I did think I would do is experiment a little bit, because I have a little guy here. Now this is a cutting I made from this big mother plant when a bit sort of broke off. It snapped off because the branches get really brittle as they age. And so a bit snapped off when I was moving him about. This is over a year ago. And so I made him into a cutting and grew him on. And I'm thinking this year what I'll do is I'll actually, while you're watching, I'll snip off all of these little flowers, and we can see if it actually helps him and makes him really strong. It should do. It's not a bad thing. I think it's a good idea to deadhead or just actually trim the flowers, just to give the plant a chance to really regenerate and get all the, just go really green, you know? Not to use all his energy, because a lot of energy goes into making these beautiful red flowers. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to chop off all of these flowers and let the other one carry on as he is used to. So I just can't do it. So what I'm doing, first of all, I want to show you how to do a little cutting. So I've got a pot of compost. I warmed it up because it's quite cold outside. We had a wonderful March, and then suddenly it's gotten cold in time for April. So that is the way it can happen. So here we go. I've got a pair of really clean shears. And I'm just going to, the reason I wear gloves when I'm dealing with these poinsettias is because the sap, it has this really white sap, sort of milky sap, like a dandelion would do. And but this kind of sap can be real irritant for skin. So it's a really good idea to wear gloves when you're handling these beautiful flowers or plants. So I'm just going to take a pair of clean shears and just snip down here. There we go, just a clean cut. And then I'm taking the little cutting, little guy here, and popping him in some water. There we go. And I'm just going to strip all the leaves, everything off. I'm going to snip everything off, except for maybe a few leaves on the very top. And everything, I mean, the thing is, as soon as you snip anything off, it really does weep. Because it just is that kind of plant. You see all that sort of milky sap? See? There you go. It's a really milky sap little thing. So, like that. Just snip everything off so it doesn't, because if you leave too many leaves on, the water can just evaporate really easily. So go like that. And I'm going to take this cutting like that. And what I've got here, got some rooting powder. You can use other things too. People use honey and I think cinnamon pops. So, but I like using this rooting powder because I have it and it really lasts for ages. So just make sure it has a little bit of a drink of water there. You just don't want this stem to dry out. We're doing it so quickly immediately after cutting it that it wouldn't dry out, but it's always a good idea to have water ready. So go like that. Just tap off the water. Then I stick it straight into this pot and sort of make sure it gets lots and lots of this rooting hormone on it, and then tap off the excess. And then I'm going to make a little hole in the middle of the pot and stick it into it. Cover it up again. I like to stick it in quite far down because that just helps it have as much space as possible, because all these little areas here where it would, all these little nodes where it would usually have leaves, these little bumps here, that's where all the roots are going to come out. And so the longer the stem, the more chance you have of making lots and lots of roots. All these little bumps, you see them? They could all become roots. And also now the ones that are sticking above ground are going to sprout out little branches and leaves and things. So, and I've just left a teeny bit of leaves here, just a smidgen of them, just for photosynthesis, and they can just keep the plant alive. And I'll be sure to water it, just a bit of water here. There we go. And keep it in a nice sunny position, not too hot. I don't want it to hurt, but just to keep it going and happy. Okay, and so back to the big plant. That's all it really takes with this guy. I'll show you updates of him and we'll see how he goes, but he should go really well and grow and get lots of roots. That's a really fun thing to do. So what I'm going to do next is what we talked about, cutting off all the flowers. It's sort of a type of deadheading before the flowers are actually dead. And just going to see if that's actually going to benefit the flower, because so many people actually suggest doing it, and I've just never wanted or been able to bring myself to do it. It's a bit dark in here. The sun keeps on coming in and out, so it makes it a bit tricky. But I hope you can see everything. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to go into the shade a bit here. I don't want to do this kind of work in the middle of the sun, burning sun. So here we go. So I'm just going to chop off all the flowers. And I hope you won't get too sad. You'll be okay, won't you, little guy? Here we go. Let's chop them all off. I do like to talk to my plants occasionally. Okay, here we go. And I can really see the reason you'd want to do this, because it does take so much energy for them to make these flowers, and if you just snip them off, they can stop worrying about it, you know? You see? You can really see how they weep. This really white sap. Amazing. There we go. There's another one down here. It's quite satisfying almost. But I just don't like hurting the plant. It's so beautiful. There we go. And there's that one. Okay. So, teeny bits here. It's going to really clean him up, make him nice and nicely green, and then he can just really concentrate and spend the next months on just like growing strong and not worry about supporting all these flowers and seeds. That's the thing, they start working on reproducing and making seeds and everything, and it's just makes them work extra hard when they could be looking after themselves. So there we go, a completely bare little baby. Let's have a look at him. There we go. There's like a few leaves left, but yeah, I'll leave them, that's fine. So it's going to be really interesting to see how much healthier he looks. So we'll do updates as well. Continue to let them grow, all these guys, and see how they do. I'm not doing much for the mother plant. I'm just sort of letting it go, staying here. It can't go anywhere else. I can't move it out of this room because it's just far too big. So it has to, it's a bit out of focus. It has to sort of stay here. But yeah, I'm just giving it watered. It needs lots of water and it just loves being in the sun. So that's it for this month. Hope you have a really great month. And I look forward to seeing you in May.